Hello and welcome back to the Neurotransmitters, your source for all clinical neurology related learning. So, I'm your host, Dr. Michael Kentris. I'm very pleased today to have some multiple very special guests with me. So, as some of you who follow us on X may be aware, the Neurotransmitters social media account's been, picking up over the last year, and particular last few months. And I'm joined today by my team members, Doctors Tirtha Sawant, Rida Farhan, and Ricardo. Oh my God, Ricardo! Vivanco.
Yeah. You got it.
So embarrassing. The problem is your Twitter handle is not your last name, so it always throws me off whenever I have to find you online. I'm so happy. We might cut that later in post. I'll leave it up to Rita's discretion. But these are the people who have been helping me to build the neurotransmitters over the last year, and I am so grateful to all of them. So when they came to me with this idea of reflecting on what has it meant to be an international medical graduate, applying to the U.S. match, the values of mentorship in various capacities, I thought it was a great idea and hopefully will help a lot of our listeners out there. So thank you all for coming on in front of the microphone today and kind of sharing your experiences.
Thank you for having us.
Perfect.
Happy to be here.
So let's just have you all go around. Ricardo, will you start us off? Give us a little bit of your background. Tell us how you wound up here with us.
Sure, yeah. So I am a medical graduate from Ecuador. I actually graduated in 2022. So I first met Dr. Kentris through this Google form through X, formerly Twitter. I don't get used to the X name.
Same.
But then I signed up for being graphic designer assistant for the podcast. Medical education and infographics is something that I have always been interested in, and especially if it's something related to neuro. So it was nothing. It was not a difficult decision, I would say. Even though I was right in that at that time, I was writing my personal statement, and I decided to focus on this instead. But then I met this incredible team of people that has been, very supportive through the match, but also has taught me several things, not only on neuro, but also about how to handle these team meetings and, organize what we should publish on Twitter or the website. And, it's been great teamwork. But then I think that we are here today because we should talk about mentorship, and I want to start talking about maybe my experience regarding the match, but also through medical school. So I think I consider myself a very shy person, so maybe that's why it was hard for me to approach someone on X initially. And I think maybe through all of my medical school, I didn't have, a mentor, let's say, but a fixed mentor. I had several professors who will help me whenever I needed to, but no one that will guide me to what I wanted to be. So I remember that I took my step one during medical school, which was a hard decision because I did that all by watching YouTube videos about the match process and how to study for step one and what else. And I remember that at first I didn't even consider doing my residency in the United States. I just wanted to see how I was doing compared to medical students from abroad. U.S. it's always been a big a leading country in science, and medicine is not an exception. So I started studying for my step one for that, and then I knew if I just didn't have the score that I wanted, or I felt that I just could go through another path. So, but hopefully I passed it. And then I remember that after that, I reached to one of my first mentors at that time, who became a great friend, who I haven't met in person yet, but it's an Ecuadorian who is doing is right now. It's a neurologist, a full board certified neurologist there in the United States. Uh, and I remember talking with him and talking a little bit anxious about my process and how I was worried about getting these medical rotations in the United States, and if it was worth it because of the cost and the time, or should I do other things. And this was after my step one, so there were some options, but not a lot of options, as we know as IMGs there are. So the thing I remember the most about that conversation with him was the relief I felt about him telling me that I was doing pretty good, actually, because he took the step one after graduating from medical school. And it's a very different thing to watching through YouTube videos and knowing inside myself that I'm going through the right path, but someone else telling me, someone else that has gone through that path, it's a very different thing. And I think I appreciated that kind of relief at that time. So I think that was my first turning point, and a kind of cheer up for my journey through this um, through this match process. Then I kept in contact with him, and I actually met a lot of more people through him. He kind of put me in contact with some other Ecuadorians there in the States, either doing research fellows on neurology or doing residency in neurology there. And then I met, I think, my other mentor that has become one of the conversations with him has become one of the turning points of my match process. I remember that after doing a couple of rotations, I wasn't sure if I was ready for applying to the match, and I was considering on doing a research fellowship first, which will take me another year and maybe postpone my application for another year. And actually, he told me that, in his opinion, I should apply as early as possible. I had graduated, maybe it was 1 year after my graduation, so that was a conversation maybe a little more of a year ago, maybe a little more. But then that's the reason, maybe he's the reason I am applying this year, and I'm very grateful for that, because if not, maybe I wouldn't get, things would have get more complicated. Maybe I wouldn't get this research fellowship position, and maybe I would have spent much more money that I have spent till now. So having his counsel, his advice was pretty valuable at that time, and I think I owe them a lot, to these two mentors. And then during my match process, I've met also other wonderful people who has helped me either with interviews or writing my personal statement, or sponsor me on Twitter, like Dr. Kentris himself. So I'm pretty grateful for that. And I think the bottom line of all of what I'm saying is that you should not be shy in terms of applying for seeking help and applying to the match. What I've learned is that most of the IMGs and some of the American residents, not residents, but neurologists or physicians like Dr. Kentris are willing to help for several reasons, but mostly IMGs because they have a feeling of giving back what they received when they were applying. So that could be my first advice: seeking help whenever possible. And then the second one is accepting every help as possible, because there are different type of mentors, and every help and every advice, every point of view from them is always valuable. And you could take whatever you like or not take whatever you dislike. So it's always your opinion. So yeah.
All great points. Thank you.
I don't know, and maybe if Rida or Tirtha has different opinions about their journeys on the match. So maybe you could share.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Rida, and I'm a medical graduate from Pakistan. I graduated in 2021. And so, I'm just going to give a little background from where I'm coming from, and which basically is why I needed somebody as a mentor. So I'm a first generation doctor. Like, I am one of the first people in my immediate and extended families to become a doctor. And believe me, I have not tried to explain the match process to them. uh, and that is because earlier, when I was leaving for my US rotations, I sat down and explained to them for hours on end why and what I was working towards. And then 1 month later, when I was in the US, and so one of my relatives of the extended family members, who is a medical student and is frequently in touch with me, she messaged me and she was like, your family was here and they have no idea what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, okay, never mind about that one. And there is no doctor, and then also I don't have any relatives in the US as such. And especially like within my community, it is not exactly conventional to be pursuing training or even higher education abroad. And so I faced quite some backlash, especially as a girl. They are now coming around to sort of accepting it, but I did not really have like a strong support system there. And then all of my friends who were applying to the match, all of them are coming with like families of doctors, and they have relatives in the US, and nobody was applying to neurology. So it just became like a very isolating journey for me. And last March, if I compare a year ago, I was like just I was following the last match, and people were posting on X how they have all these mentors and how they're grateful for all of them. And I was like so envious of all of these people. And I was like, where are they finding mentors? And I would like kill to have somebody like a trusted adult to turn to for career advice. Like, that was a luxury that I did not have. And I was hoping, so by that time I had managed to get like a few rotations after months and months of cold emailing. So I was hoping when I go for my rotations, I'll be able to form this connection with my mentors, like my preceptors, and hopefully that will, sustain me through the match cycle. So I went with that expectation to the US. So one thing that I would say, one advice that I would give is find the right people you want to people who are in the same field as you, people who are on the same track that you want to pursue. Because there are, I know as IMGs, and I hate using the term desperate, but we are sort of desperate for rotations, and people will take up anything they'll find. So my neurology mentors have told me stories about people who who came to them for rotations saying that they wanted to apply to neurology and then never applied to neurology, ended up applying to internal medicine. And that was their plan all along. They were just not honest about it. So do not be that person. If you are seeking like a different rotation, then at least be honest with your mentors, because if they are taking a chance on you, they deserve to know what you are really applying for. And that also ruins chances for the other IMGs as well. Because one of my mentors actually said that, she had stopped taking observers for this reason. I had to be persistent and prove my research skills and eventually make my way through that. But point being, don't do that. You're just ruining things for yourself and for other people. so that's one thing. So anyway, I went to the US in the hopes of, making these great connections. And then, with everybody on X and Reddit, and people were like, if you're at your A game in the rotations, you will end up with this excellent letter of recommendation. And all of my rotations were like a month long. So 3 rotations for 3 months. And so I came in with this expectation, and I tried to, be at my A game as I could be. And but at the end of the month, I did not have that great connection that I was hoping to hit. Like it did not hit the sweet spot that I was hoping. It was a great, it was a good relation, but it wasn't great. So like it went from 0 to good. It did not go from 0 to great. And I ended up being quite disappointed. So when I was like returning to Pakistan, I was actually pretty disheartened that I had done my best and I still hadn't managed to get that, great connection that I was hoping for. And even in the next, so I actually started some projects with these mentors as well. So I was in touch with them even after I came to Pakistan, and I was working with them. And I think I came back like at the end of August, and by November I was still feeling pretty gloomy about it. That I was exhausted trying to prove myself to every new person, and it's not going anywhere, and I'm not feeling it. But then I think, the compounding effect happens over time. And in December, some things happened that sort of made me realize that all of those connections had now gone from good to great over time. And that is like one thing in hindsight that I would say is, do not give it time. Like any other relationship, a mentor-mentee relationship is going to take time. You're not going to go from 0 to great immediately. It will take a few months to build that trust and rapport. And hang in there. If you feel exhausted, hang in there, and eventually it will work out. So, and coming to specifically to Dr. Kentris, if you will, let me.
Of course.
So I was in July. He posted the volunteer announcement in the call for volunteers in mid-August, around that time. And around like 1 month earlier, in mid-July, I was rotating at Vanderbilt in the epilepsy monitoring unit. So, and I was scrolling, and unlike Ricardo, I was not aware of Dr. Kentris' superstar status.
It's an exaggeration at best.
I was not aware at all. I was following him, but I was not really familiar with anything about him. In my defense, he doesn't have epileptologist in his bio, so that explains.
I used to, but I had to cut back on the characters.
Okay. Continue. Having continuum in your bio should be enough.
No, for me it's the epilepsy buzzword. So I was scrolling X as usual, and I came across this audiogram that you had posted with your interview from Dr. Nupur Goel. And for those who don't know what audiograms are, they are the snippets of audio that we post on our X or whatever social media you follow us on. And if you don't, then please follow.
They're the backbone of the Neurotransmitters account.
Yeah. So I came across this audiogram, which I did not know was an audiogram at that time, but it was a snippet from the interview with Dr. Nupur Goel, and she was talking about how her mentor, Dr. Vivanco, had given her the advice on how to transform her challenges into opportunities, something along those lines. I don't remember exactly, but that is sort of something that I resonate with a lot personally and try to do. And so that, I got intrigued and I went to the Neurotransmitters, and that was the first podcast I listened to. And in that podcast, Dr. Kentris mentions that he did his epilepsy fellowship at Vanderbilt, and I may or may not have dropped the phone at that point. Just kidding, I didn't. But I did follow the channel, and I was very intrigued, and I did stalk probably you or the neurotransmitters at that point. And this is 1 month before you had that call out for volunteers. So it seemed interesting. So I made a mental note that I'm going to check this out once. And I was in the middle of my rotations and traveling and all of that at that time. So I was like, once I'm done with this, I'm going to, listen to a few more podcasts and see what your deal is. And once I have some sense of what you're trying to do or create, I will send you a well-informed email suggesting ways on how I can be useful to you. So that was something on my to-do list even before you posted your call for volunteers. And then also that's one thing that happened at Vanderbilt. And the other thing that happened was I was talking to this other mentor, and I was like, we were talking about neurohumanities, and we were talking about like the love for creative writing, and I was telling her, I'm trying to figure out ways on how to merge my non-medical interests with medicine, specifically neuro. So graphic designing and animation and writing. And she was like, whatever you do, just start, like, get involved somehow and start publishing or doing something about it. Because once you do, then more opportunities will open up. And I wasn't sure because, I don't have any experience being a neurologist. I'm not even a trainee yet. And I preferably wanted to do something in neuro. So I wasn't sure how solo I can do something, So I was also kind of reflecting over her advice and thinking of ways I could do something. And then I came across your channel and I was like, okay, this is something I could give a shot. But before I could give a shot, you posted the call for volunteers, and I was like, oh my God. And then I opened the Google Doc and I was like, oh my God, that was the second, oh my God. And I mean, that was exactly, I was like, oh, you're looking for me, you just don't know it yet. I'm kidding. I did not think that. I'm just saying this. But I did think that I am the perfect person for it. And I mean, the rest is history, so I applied. Yeah. But I have learned a lot from him. And he could be the one mentor that I can say, not forced. The one mentor who has had a significant influence on my journey and my growth, especially over the last few months. And I will take up extra things to do in the neurotransmitters as an excuse to stay connected to him because I enjoy picking up his brain.
Well, I'm very fortunate to have had your help over the last year, Rida, so thank you.
Thank you to you. So I am very grateful to you. And hopefully we will continue beyond the match.
Fingers crossed.
What do you mean fingers crossed?
It's a good luck thing.
No. No, as in you should be sure that we are going to continue beyond the match.
Well, yes. I mean, I'm confident of that part. I want you all to have. For those, we're recording this on March 1st, so we are, just a couple of weeks pre-match at this point in time. So by the time this comes out, maybe we'll have an addendum to record onto the end there with some good news for everybody. But we are not yet through the match, so I'm hoping for good things for everyone on the call.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So just last two sort of key takeaways that I have noticed and in mentees, and I had thoughts. So you know how on X and Reddit, if you like ask somebody on how to make the most out of your rotations or make the most out of your mentorships, people will tell you to be on your A game, right? So show up on time, be proactive, etc., etc. And that is sort of considered the upper limit to being like, be the best you can. It's like the upper limit. But in my humble opinion, I think that should be the bare minimum to do, because if somebody is taking a chance on you, then honoring that commitment with 100% should at least be the bare minimum. And if you want to go above and beyond, then reciprocate. I'm sure all of the attendings have too many things on their to-do list, and they wouldn't mind if somebody takes some things off their hands. Do that. Be that person. Be the Jonathan that every attending needs. Yeah. So that. And make yourself useful. So, I mean, obviously nobody's going to hand over things to you. So like if your mentor is like research focused, then learn some research skills. If they are like, one of my mentor is research focused. So I'm working with her on researches. With Dr. Gendris, I'm working on whatever social media and podcast editing stuff. And with another of my mentors, she is like, she has a private practice. So she has Instagram page and a website, and for obviously promotion stuff. And I ended up writing blogs for her and making infographics and stuff. So I mean, that wasn't a requirement on my part as a rotation, but that was like a way of giving back to the mentor and making things easier for them, or doing something that would lead to their success. Like, it is a relation like any other relation. It's a give and take relationship. So if they're invested in your success, you invest in their success. It should go both ways. That is something I staunchly believe in. One. And two, virtual networking. I have read a lot. I had some friends ask me if, being on Twitter landed me interviews. I've read posts on Reddit saying, "Oh, we're so glad we never made these Twitter accounts," and get involved in all the drama that is happening. And again, I know we've had a lot of drama this cycle, but how you use your social media is up to you. It's, if you want to be involved in the drama, then fine. But if you want to use it constructively, you can. Like, that shouldn't be a pride factor that you don't have an account or you never went on X. There are many ways to use it constructively, and with so many people who are coming in the med-ed space, and especially like as IMGs, you don't need like visa, you don't need financial barriers. Like, all of these barriers are not there when it comes to virtual networking. So there is literally no reason for you to not be on social media and connect with people. And even if it doesn't land you interviews, you will still have a lot of update on what the current things are happening in, let's say, Neurotwitter. And that actually helped me a lot in my interviews, just maintaining conversations with interviewers. And I think that is, I mean, I don't know, we'll see what happens on 15 March, but hopefully that does show your interest in the specialty and your interest in the field, right? So you can definitely use like, and even with like, if you are, let's say, a shy person or introvert person, and I've seen many posts, and they always make me mad, is that people will write that we are very introverted and we don't know how to network, or we don't know how to connect. That is fine. I am a staunch introvert. Like, you don't have to just be all flashy or just go out. And I mean, this is virtual networking. Just make an account, and literally you don't even have to post anything. Just follow the right people, and your target audience, if I use my social media director terms, that your target audience shouldn't be fellow match applicants. I mean, sure, you can connect with them, but your target audience should be people you aspire to be. So if whoever is on the track that you want to pursue, and you will find many people, and follow them and see what they're posting. There will be people in the med-ed space who are posting regularly, and all of us know that posting on social media consistently is not exactly a piece of cake. And if you can learn some skills, there are so many people who are running podcast channels or YouTube channels, and if you can learn some skills like YouTube, like video editing and podcast editing, or graphic designing, animation, stuff like that, infographics, you will actually be very useful to a lot of people out there. And you can just observe these people, how they're posting, what they're posting, and after a couple of months of observation and learning some skills, reach out to them with a thoughtful message that this is how you can be useful. Like I hopefully would have reached out to Dr. Kentris if he hadn't already posted. So do that. And I think, like, if you start quite a few months before the match, by the time you are applying, you will have like a great connection, and one connection will lead to a few others, and it's just keeps compounding then from there. So yeah, those are some of my key takeaways in my journey.
No, I think those are really important parts or pieces to think about. I know when I was a medical student, I did like the opposite of all of those things, right? I didn't reach out to attendings. I didn't, and it made life a lot harder for me. Trying to, because I also was like a first generation physician, and so I didn't have anyone in the family to really ask advice from. Didn't really have any strong mentors in medical school, so I did it exactly the wrong way in terms of using all of these resources, these soft skills, if you will. So I definitely recommend everything you suggested as being a better path than my own.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Tirtha, tell us a little bit about your background there.
Sure. Hey, everyone listening in today. And thank you, Ricardo and Rida, for your wonderful journeys. Even I didn't know that much about you guys. So it was great listening to everything. So yeah, my name is Tirtha Sawant. I also graduated in 2022 from a Caribbean medical school. And I met Dr. Kentris last year around this time. To be very honest, I do not even remember how and why I reached out to him. I think it was probably just fate. I DM'd him on X or Twitter, and it was mainly for just life advice. I was really at my lowest, and he was just there supporting me and telling me to go on. I believe it's very similar to, things that he had experienced as a medical student, and I connected with him a lot on those aspects. And moving on from there, I just talked to him for advice and, strength. And then from there, I found out that he narrates for Continuum. And I asked him, hey, this sounds really interesting. And I was super scared because being an IMG, of course, we do come with, our respective unique accents. And I remember asking him, will I be able to do this? One, I'm not really techno savvy. And two, like, I'm going to have to practice how to pronounce every word, in the American accent. And he said, you know what, don't worry about that. We have a great team and we're very welcoming. So just give it a shot and try to see it and how it goes. I remember recording my first article for Continuum, and around 3/4 down the line, I had to scrap it due to some technical errors. And I was so scared. I remember texting him on my phone. I'm like, hey, I don't think I can do this. The deadline is in like 3 days. I'm going to have to scrap this audio. And he was like, listen, let me help you out. Go to this, do these controls, click on that. He had me figure it out. And I re-recorded the entire article again. And it was when I did submit it, and Miss Schroeder at Continuum, and she got back to me. She said, I don't have any edits for you. It's perfect. It's good to go. And that was just amazing. I feel like if not for his support and his push, I probably would have given up with that one audio that seemed to destroy my life at that point. And then, moving on, he did mention about neurotransmitters vaguely. It wasn't really a published website at the time. And it was more, like his abstract ideas. We all know Dr. Kentris. He can talk for hours and hours describing what he's working on. So yeah, I remember just telling him once, hey, if you ever need help, just let me know. And he said, yeah, I'll hold you on to that. And then I guess it was in June or July when he did reach out. And I was like, I would love to help you. Like, I may not know what needs to be done to, launch the website and get volunteers and everything, but I just want to be a part of giving back to you. For me, it's like, I love working with people. I think gratitude in this industry, in medicine and healthcare, is extremely important. And I just wanted to be a part of his journey, his journey to success and stardom, as you called it, Rida. um, so yeah, it was fun working with him initially, sort of brainstorming ideas, how to get more volunteers and every aspect of neurotransmitters, podcasts and quizzes, and how the social media is going to work around. Yeah, and it was wonderful. I got to learn a lot from him. I got to learn a lot from you guys. I think it's very important in the mentor-mentee relationship where it's a two-way street, right? You get to learn a lot, and also your mentor does. I hope they also get to learn a lot from us. So I got to learn how to make infographics and how to edit audios and how to make posts and all of that. And had it not been for him and his platform, I wouldn't have ever learned these skills. So it's a huge thank you to Dr. Kentris. And moving on to generally in the world of mentorship and social networking, yes, as IMGs, and I think having that advantage of being Gen Zs, we have taken advantage of the social networking world and having everything at the tip of our fingers with virtual networking. And even though last year I didn't have a lot of followers and I was like a nobody, just watching people post and just figuring out how are they doing this, how are they don't they have any social anxiety. But I sort of overcame that, and I saw the bigger picture of social media and how, like you mentioned, how you can use it constructively. And due to that, I reached out to a lot of people, but not in a way that to bother them. I don't think I went down the route of cold emailing. I put in a lot of research in terms of which physician attending is doing something that I feel value in, because I really wanted to reach out to them and see if I can contribute to their platform, whether it was my volunteer organization, whether it was my research mentor. Uh, each one of them is someone that I would say I handpicked, and I feel like that sort of came in my email when I did reach out to them, that I really want to work with you. This is something that resonates with me, and that's one advice I would give to applicants this year or in the following years, that they do say a lot that you have to email a bunch of people. It may work for some, it may not work for some, but if you really do know your specialty and your niche and where you could contribute best, I would highly suggest to reach out to those people and see if they're willing to help you. And there are a lot of people out there who do this without any other benefits or expectations, like Dr. Kentris himself. And yeah, if you reach out to the right people and if you have something to give to them, you can definitely, find it worthwhile working for them as well. And there was another thing, like even in terms of the match, I'm sure NM Match, the platform that sort of paired us with our mentors. I hope he's also listening in to this podcast, because I would love to give him a shout out. I won't mention his name here, but he's been very instrumental as well, in terms of just advice, career advice about programs, about my application and everything related to the match. So we just being very grateful to have these mentors in every field, and sort of learning from them. And this person being, a PGY1 resident, it really shows that a mentor doesn't really always have to be an attending as well. It could just be a friend. It could just be someone who's already matched and willing to help you. And there are so many out there who are willing to help you in these aspects. And moving on from there, I feel like you guys have covered a lot of topics. and I'm like getting blank now. But yeah, just final advice for this relationship of mentors and mentees is be consistent. As mentees, we have to be the one to sort of plan things, right? It's obvious we need the help more, and they are the ones just being grateful and sort of giving us the right direction. So it's important for us as mentees to be consistent, respond to their emails, and really structure your schedule according to their lifestyle, because these are attendings or residents or physicians who may be extremely busy, and every second that they sort of devote to your journey is extremely important, and it's important to show that gratitude as well. So present day, it's been over a year I've been working for Neurotransmitters, and I love the people that I work with. Being the director of personnel, I think it suits my personality. Like I said, I love working with people. I love learning from people. I do think all of us have our strengths that we contribute to as a team. And Dr. Kentris being the guru, the king of the jungle, he's definitely sort of brought out the best from each one of us. So yeah, just very happy to be here and making this for him.
No, it's been great having all of you involved with this. As you all know, I do, to Tirtha's point, I can ramble on about ideas forever. And then my execution needs a little bit of, should say, encouragement from time to time, which I appreciate, despite my sometimes cranky demeanor. So thank you all for keeping me on the straight and narrow and making sure, that is one of the great things that first Tirtha and then Ricardo and Rida after had made sure that when I was doing this on my own, I would maybe record an episode once a month, maybe once or twice if I was really feeling motivated. But since having you all involved with it, you've helped me stay very, very diligent, very regular, maintaining a regular pace. And that is one of the things. If you have, right, to that mentor-mentee relationship, you have someone to hold you accountable as well, right? It's not just me kind of spitting things off into the internet with no feedback from anybody, right? I hear criticisms, which is good, right? I don't end up in the echo chamber of my own head. So it is important. There are benefits, even though, as you said, you're not quote unquote neurologists, right? You are people who are interested, who are engaged, who want to create useful things, and that, I think, is just as important. And I do appreciate all of you.
Aw.
So any final thoughts anyone wanted to share, or any questions I need to answer?
I have a quote in mind.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I read it probably. What are the people you follow? It went like, the journey or the destination doesn't matter. It's the people you end up connecting with that matters along the way. And I think with our team, because the journey is probably going to be longer and we're not sure of the destination, but it is our daily quirkiness or connections that sort of keep us going and encouraging us to just, keep working on this consistently.
Yeah.
Yes, that is one of the most interesting things, to both what Tirtha and what you're saying, Rida, is that I've met so many interesting people through networking online, even in my own career, and I've heard some people refer to it as increasing the surface area of your luck, where you're putting yourself out there, you're taking chances on things, and not everything's going to land 100%. But some of those will resonate with someone, and maybe that person reaches out and you build a new relationship, and that can be pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a great thing that I've learned over the last couple of years, is just the importance of just taking a shot at something. I consider myself a very strong introvert as well, believe it or not. I was
believe
equally shy. I was painfully shy in high school. Like and that's part of what my problem in medical school made me, right? I had to break that habit or else I would never be worth a darn as a physician. But it was still one of those things that took a lot of work in terms of like, I need to at least at times break my natural tendencies and, you know, make those connections. And it has been very fruitful, both, you know, from an emotional friendships, as well as from a professional standpoint. So I think those are all important points to keep in mind as we engage in this kind of the new public square online.
On the topic of being shy, not in med school, but earlier during my high school, my teachers complained. The only complaint that they ever had was that we have never heard her talk. We don't know.
You know, that's really hard to believe. I feel like you're a great speaker and orator. It's
so they were like, we have not heard, we don't know what her voice sounds like, and they were like, you know, she's great at studies and everything else, she needs to talk. And then I don't know what, I took their advice seriously and I started, you know, putting myself out there, and like that is back in high school, and like a couple of years later people were literally begging me to stop talking. and so they do now as well, but now the devil is unleashed. So
we're still trying, Rida, and we've not been successful.
I had a very, very similar story. When I was in grade school, about third grade, I got sent to the speech pathologist for an evaluation because they thought I had a speech impediment of some kind because I talked so little in class.
Yeah, so that's the point, you know, like, and now you're a narrator and a podcast host. The point is that I've actually had quite a lot of friends just say to me that, you know, it comes easy to you, it comes naturally to you. We cannot do this. And my reply to all of these people is that I was not born with this. Trust me, I had to make a conscious effort. And even today, like I would love to just, you know, isolate myself and not reply to anybody. Like I hate posting on social media daily. I'm the social media director. It is, everything is a conscious effort that I, you know, keep doing just for the sake of growth. And you have to do it. Like, all of us are coming from shy and introverted places, and you can reach like great places.
Must be a neurology thing.
That is, most neurology thing, but that is also not like a drawback. I specifically think that like introverts have some tendencies that they can use quite constructively, you know, their ability to form like a great one-on-one connection, being a good listener, or paying attention to details, and these sort of things that actually help in forming some strong bonds, even if they're few.
Yeah, it's curious because we all have this in common, right? We all come from shy backgrounds. We are all introverts. We all think twice before posting something on Twitter. But I always remember what comedian Dave Chappelle said: Twitter is not a real place, so we should just tweet whatever we like and then get some feedback, and you know, it's fine. You know, don't be afraid of that. So yeah, and it was very interesting what Dr. Kentry said about having like a bigger impact by doing having this podcast and knowing a few people, even if it is only a few and not, you know, every single follower on Twitter. I always remember this that I learned from one of my interviews this March season, is that the difference between, you know, focusing on your private practice and doing some academic work, whether it is research or, you know, mentoring or teaching, is that the impact you have on your patients is exponential, because you're not only helping the patients you're treating, but also the helpings your mentees are treating. So yeah, you know, and that's one of the reasons I'm also interested in MedEd as much as you guys. So yeah, I'm glad. I'm really grateful for being here and learn from you.
Awesome. Hey, does everyone want to give a little plug for where people can find you, what you're working on online other than Neurotransmitters?
Sure, yeah. So I'm on Twitter. I'm as Dr. Vivan Cortex, which is a funny name coming from my a combination of my last name, which is Vivanco, and also Cortex, which is neuro stuff.
I just got
But
that just now.
yeah, you can find me like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you can find me on X at Rida Farhan, RIDAFARHAN. And if any future aspirants are listening, neuro aspirants, and want to reach out for guidance, mentorship, anything, I'm more than happy to help.
Excellent.
Yeah, and you can find me on X as Tirtha Sawant 10, also on LinkedIn. And likewise, any future aspirants, applicants, just reach out. Even if you just want to talk, I love to listen. Call me your personal therapist. I don't mind. I would love to help in any way that I can. So just glad to be here, and I hope everyone that's listening and does have some key takeaways about the mentor-mentee relationship, and hope we've been able to help a lot of applicants out there.
Awesome. I'm sure some people will find these tips very helpful, and hopefully it will help some people down that pathway that you all have kind of figured out on your own. You can also follow me on X/Twitter at Dr. Kentris, DrKentris. And of course, follow the Neurotransmitters, where you can see all of our posts from Rida at neuro_podcast. And then you can also find us at the Neurotransmitters on LinkedIn and I believe Instagram as well these days. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And of course, check out the website, theneurotransmitters.com. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share with a friend, spread the word. We're a small community, so let's make some relationships out there, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate everyone taking the time, and thank you for all your thoughts today.
Thank you.
It's been great. Thank you.